had a child with it bash its brains out, and then charge the child with assault.
But I've read comments on neocon websites where it's like, yeah, spray the damn hippies. They were blocking the path. So does that mean that guy should have been turned into pulp by the communist Chinese tank? To be fair, it's split 50-50 with these neocons. Some of them were saying, yeah, but even if you disagree with the protesters, it sets a horrible example, which is exactly right. We don't agree with every grievance that they've uttered, and in fact, they've blocked us from their own official website. That doesn't mean we're not going to speak out against flagrant police brutality.
That's the George Soros group on record with that site trying to control that diverse group. And so, of course, they've banned Infowars.com and Alex Jones, and then mixed in David Duke to make us look bad. I mean, look, that is exactly, just because their leadership is authoritarian doesn't mean we're authoritarian. Just because everybody else is turning to evil and turning to stomping on our way of life and the republic doesn't mean we stomp on it.
Well, that's right. I mean, just as the OWS protesters can be manipulated, so are those in Egypt. I mean, it's the same April 6 youth movement, Mohammed el-Baradei, international crisis group, that are trying to get in power. So they're trying to replace a hardcore arcane dictatorship with a soft, touchy-feely dictatorship. But again, that doesn't mean you support the brutal crackdown on protesters that we've seen over the past few days. So it's important to make that distinction. But what's also interesting, Alex, is that Ron Paul actually got occupied yesterday as CNN clips just emerged. Ron Paul's giving a town hall speech and he gets disrupted by Occupy Wall Street protesters who start chanting, we are the 99%. I mean, they're protesting a guy who's took no money from Wall Street, while the polls show that half of them plan to vote for Barack Obama, who, of course, his entire administration is funded by Wall Street.
Again, the term Occupy Wall Street is a cutout for the Democrats to claim anybody who ever protests the banking corruption is on their side. Then they can send their operatives after their real enemy, and that right there just proves that large segments of it are Soros run. Paul, one more segment on this situation, then Aaron Dykes is coming up, and then your phone call. Stay with us. Thank you for joining us, my friends. Alex Jones from the road. I'll be back Wednesday. Hope everybody has a great Thanksgiving coming up. We have a lot to be thankful for. Private property rights, the family, the Second Amendment. And the United States has not been perfect, but it's been the best there's been when it comes to liberty and freedom, literally the pioneer. It's a true shame to see it becoming a pioneer in corruption and oppression and new forms of technocratic evil. I saw an article where one of England's top judges admits that they're getting rid of the entire English common law and Magna Carta, which is the model of the U.S. system and then the model worldwide of freedom, and going to an EU-UN model. And by the way, they've got, 31 declarations of human rights, but in the last articles, they state that you don't have any rights that the UN says. Notice they're invading all these countries in the name of people's rights and then putting in even more dictatorial regimes. You see, they want a brutal oligarchy where you can't even pick off a single leader and where you don't have one big ego to deal with, but just a bunch of criminals that work for you. Kind of like we have now with our corrupt Congress. That's what's being set up in Egypt. Going back to Paul Watson. Watson, witnessing all of this happen, no one can deny now, even people who are totally illiterate historically, that this is an out-of-control, globally directed, corporate, creeped-out, control freak, really insane tyranny, where they destroy the world system as they gobble it up, and they just hope that a bunch of paramilitary police having their own world destroyed, their own future destroyed, are going to follow orders and beat everybody in the head and just hope everybody's watching NASCAR and football and soccer drooling. I don't think they're going to get away with it. I mean, their old tricks don't work anymore, Paul.
Well, it's amazing, isn't it, that when the police were beating people up in Syria, the humanitarian crusaders, Mr. Obama and Hillary Clinton, called on Assad to step down. We had Libyan, they were still being called protesters by the media, even as they commandeered fighter jets and rocket-propelled grenades. They were being harshly treated. Of course, we had that invasion. But when dozens are killed and thousands are tortured on the streets of Cairo, Obama and Hillary, there's barely a whimper. Where's the NATO-backed humanitarian intervention there? Where's the humanitarian intervention in Bahrain and Saudi Arabia when protesters are getting their heads cracked there on a daily basis.
Well, I mean, shot there.
Yeah.
It doesn't even make our news when they just shoot a crowd. I mean,
yeah, that happened today. It's like every day, and it barely makes the news. But, I mean, $1.3 billion in aid in 2010 alone to Egypt's ruling military junta kind of explains why Obama and Clinton aren't that concerned about dead protesters on the streets of Cairo. So again, it illustrates the hypocrisy. And then even if they do get rid of the military dictatorship, you've got El Baradi and all these other, CFR globalists waiting to swoop in and give them a soft dictatorship.
Members or visitors of the Bilderberg Group and Trilateral Commission CFR, you're not supposed to mention that because the anointed mainstream media said we're not supposed to talk about international bankers and cartels. That's a conspiracy theory. Sure, they're just announcing in Time Magazine and Financial Times of London that it's a, quote, global Goldman Sachs banking dictatorship, and our media almost congratulates them. Oh, good job. You took everything down. Wow, you really control all the governments. But then when we say we don't want to live under these bankers, it's like, shut up, it doesn't exist, you insane person. You caused the White House shooting.
Well, I mean, precisely, and they still go on about Bilderberg and how it has no power. Even after the former NATO Secretary General, Claes from Belgium, Willy Claes, came out and said that they go to Bilderberg, they get their orders, and then they carry them out in their different spheres of influence. So they admit it. The Bilderberg members admit it, and yet it's still a conspiracy theory, and you're a dangerous extremist if you believe in it.
Well, Paul, you churn out so many prolific articles that we need to get you or Kurt or Steve or Aaron or somebody to do an article saying, is it still bad to talk about global government? Are we allowed to? And just be sarcastic and show like 10 articles where insiders admit there's a global corporate government, and then 10 examples under it, or 5 or whatever, of them currently saying it doesn't exist. Have you seen the video of the old guy that comes up and gets mad because I'm videotaping the UN marker and saying America's being taken over?
At the Grand Canyon, yeah.
I mean, these people, it's like you don't get a medal when you're right, folks. You get attacked. Paul, briefly, what's coming up tonight on the Nightly News?
Well, more detail into everything we've discussed. We've also got computerized contact lens that will keep you up to date with news and text. They're going to have very convenient. I'm sure there's no privacy implications whatsoever with that. So obviously we got Ron Paul gets occupied. We got this TSA rape case. We got the whole Egypt situation and more on Homeland Security.
All right, great job, Watson. Watson over at Prisonplanet.com, Infowars.com, and read his article at DrudgeReport.com. We'll be right back with Aaron Dykes. Stay with us. Welcome back, my friends. I'm still on the road. I'll be back in Austin tomorrow. Mike Adams will be sitting in on the radio tomorrow, but I'll undoubtedly call in. Normally, I join you from the road via video, Skype, and great audio. I apologize for being on the phone, but it's the information that counts. But we do have in-studio riding shotgun there in the professional radio, TV studio, Aaron Dykes, webmaster, editor, and writer at Infowars.com, and great documentary filmmaker who works in our crew. He's going to come in with a blitz of news headlines and information we haven't covered and give his insight and take on some of the news that we have gotten into. Coming up, Insight, this is from Reuters. Farm Belt rage over MF Global could chill markets. We've been saying that for several weeks now. Oh, but we're bad, the media says, of course. Anger rises as MF Global clients see funds frozen. So that's just some of what is going on right now that we're going to be breaking down. Obama has pardoned dope dealers. Well, Clinton did that too. I mean, these are gangsters. Chicago jewel thief is pardoned. And see, it's only the general public that has the book thrown at them for no reason. Political fixer and Obama pal Tony Rezko sentenced today. Anti-Obama sales outpace pro-Obama fourfold at online clothier. We've got all those articles. By the way, if you want to support us in our news operation, we've got plenty of T-shirts and materials exposing Obama as a puppet at Infowars.com. And, of course, we have the Obama Deception on DVD. Anybody can watch it in decent quality on YouTube or Google video. Over 35 million views total out there that we know of, not counting BitTorrents and other systems. But We do have a concerted effort to demonize the Obama deception. It's part of a whole history of this, and it shows actually how weak these globalists are. So after we cover some of the news with Aaron, I'm getting into the latest on MF Global. Then I'm getting into the fact that they've tried to basically connect us to the latest reported shooter, who his friends said thought he was Jesus and thought Obama was the Antichrist. We don't think Obama's the Antichrist. We think he's a teleprompter reading Harvard lawyer puppet nobody, just like George W. Bush and the rest of them. He's a front man. We're concerned with the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, the Saxe-Coburg-Gothas, the Dutch royal family. We're concerned with the Fortune 100 that's anti-free market. We're going to be breaking all that down. But this affects the entire First Amendment and is how this is the tactic that will be used to go after our free speech. So we'll talk about that with Aaron. But speaking of supporting the broadcast, when you support our local AM and FM affiliates by going to their sponsors and supporting them, or becoming a sponsor of your local business of that station, it helps us reach millions of people who have not heard the truth, who've never actually understood this information. It also helps us reach still millions more who didn't think the New World Order was real, but now see it all coming true and are ready to listen and ready to take action. It is so valuable to the future of humanity that we're on all these AM and FM stations, so please support them. Also support our national sponsors and support the sponsors that you see at Infowars.com and Prisonplanet.com. And remember, they're trying to bring in the internet kill switch. They're trying to bring in the copyright stuff where there's no judge, no jury. They just shut you down for no reason. I mean, that's even members of Congress. That's even CNET saying it's the end of the internet and free speech as we know it. They're trying to pass all of this right now. This is real. So, email the URL, Twitter, Infowars, pound Infowars. Now we've learned more about Twitter. That's how you actually do it. You pound Infowars. And then that gets everybody else to link up to it and get it out to everybody. It is so important to fight these mafias. It's so important that if we're going to go head up against the globalists, we go 110%. 110%. That means all out, not holding back. And, growing up, I thought 110% was a stupid term. It really is more than that. You want to go 200%. You want to go 300%. You want to go 400%. Because what you think is 100%, the mind has governors in it. Just like a race car will have a governor, or a city bus will have a governor. That city bus can probably go 100 miles an hour, but it's governed back to 55 miles an hour. Most 18-wheelers can go 100 miles an hour, but they're governed back to 65 miles an hour. Back when the speed limit was 55, they were governed to 56. You have a governor, and the globalists actually use those governors. They manipulate you and teach you to stand down and not be involved and not be informed. You've got to go 110%. And when you learn you can go 10% over 100, you're going to find you can go 120%. You can go 130%. That's why they do hypnotism with athletes, and they found it really works. They can take some guy who can usually only bench press 500 pounds. He can suddenly bench press 600 pounds under hypnosis. Again, you can consciously, and I'm not saying I've excelled at anything, you've just got to believe that you can take action. You've got to understand that. You've got to know you have power. Everything the globalists do is social conditioning, psychological psyop warfare to teach you you're a piece of garbage. The system is scared of the Obama deception. Look at the fact of everything they've done to attack it over the last 3 years. I'll get to that later. The point is, we're offering this until Christmas or about a week before because we can't guarantee shipments until about a week before. But in the next 20 days or so, 25 days or so, you can get the best deal we've ever offered. And the little profit we make helps fund our very expensive operations. So I want to thank all of you that do support and visit the Infowars.com video, bookstore, and Patriot Apparel. It'll help you spread the word and reach like-minded people. We're offering all 18 of my films on 16 DVDs. The point is, just go look at the whole list at Infowars.com. There's 18 films. They're all right there for $99.95. All 18 of the films that are on DVD. I think it's more than 18. I'm on the road. The point is, go read it. Go look at it for yourself. $99.95. Normally $359.95. Now $99.95. That's a $260 discount. Infowars.com. And you can do all your Christmas shopping or holiday shopping at one time by a couple of Democrats to claim anybody who ever protests the banking corruption is on their side. Then they can send their operatives after their real enemy, and that right there just proves that large segments of it are Soros run. Paul, one more segment on this situation, then Aaron Dykes is coming up, and then your phone call. Stay with us. Thank you for joining us, my friends. Alex Jones from the road. I'll be back Wednesday. Hope everybody has a great Thanksgiving coming up. We have a lot.
Well, that's right. I mean, just as the OWS protesters can be manipulated, so are those in Egypt. I mean, it's the same April 6 youth movement, Mohammed el-Baradei, international crisis group, that are trying to get in power. So they're trying to replace a hardcore arcane dictatorship with a soft, touchy-feely dictatorship. But again, that doesn't mean you support the brutal crackdown on protesters that we've seen over the past few days. So it's important to make that distinction. But what's also interesting, their own official website, that doesn't mean we're not going to speak out against flagrant police brutality.
That's the George Soros group on record with that site trying to control that diverse group. And so, of course, they've banned Infowars.com and Alex Jones and then mixed in David Duke to make us look bad. I mean, look, that is exactly, just because their leadership is authoritarian doesn't mean we're authoritarian. Just because everybody else is turning to evil and turning to stomping on our way of life and the Republic doesn't mean we stomp on it. If you had a child with it, bash its brains out and then charge the child with assault.
But I've read comments on neocon websites where it's like, yeah, spray the damn hippies that were blocking the path. So does that mean that guy should have been turned into pulp by the communist Chinese tank? To be fair, it's split 50-50 with these neocons. Some of them were saying, yeah, but even if you disagree with the protesters, it sets a horrible example, which is exactly right. We don't agree with every grievance that they've uttered, and in fact, they've blocked us from. Alex, is that Ron Paul actually got occupied yesterday, as CNN clips just emerged. Ron Paul's giving a town hall speech, and he gets disrupted by Occupy Wall Street protesters who start chanting, we are the 99%. I mean, they're protesting a guy who's took no money from Wall Street, while the polls show that half of them plan to vote for Barack Obama, who, of course, his entire administration is funded by Wall Street.
Again, the term Occupy Wall Street is a cutout for the